I'm so excited for today's testimony. It's the very first one of 2026. I've been waiting for this one. Took some time off at the end of 2025, but we are back and doing it virtual this time. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing a guy named Mason. Super dope, super dope. And his testimony is a reminder to us all how to look beyond the labels that may be on the surface, how to look beyond misconceptions, and truly get to know people for who they are, and truly get to understand what true acceptance looks like, what growth looks like, and then even the transformative power of faith. And I like to think you're going to be blessed by this one. I think I say that about every testimony because it's true. So I can't wait for y'all to hear this testimony. All right, let's go. Mason, I'm really grateful you're here and willing to share your story. I just want to remind you, as I do everybody, this is a safe space and you get to share only what feels right to you today. Before we jump in, how are you feeling coming to this conversation today?
Feel good. I've been looking forward to it. I've been excited, just realizing as someone who's on the autism spectrum, lately I've been seen as someone who's an advocate, for autism, especially in our culture, in our community. Realize like what I've been doing recently, it's a purpose behind it. And if any part of my story can inspire somebody to to keep going or to never give up, then I'm doing my part.
I know there's so many layers to you. As we was doing some research before today, it's like you are your father, your son, you're an advocate, you're author. And I'm sure we're gonna touch on all those things. But for the people who don't already know who you are, just tell everybody who is Mason.
Mason is a beautiful soul who was born in New York, from the Bronx. Made my way made my way down south. Been down south pretty much most of my life. I was like I'm a southerner now. I'm just a person who's loving, caring, supportive, hard worker, a father, a guardian, a son, brother, work in the medical field. I'm an author, an advocate. So it's like so many titles that I have, but all of my roles and responsibilities, makes me into the person that I am today, but also the things that I've been through in my life has also molded me to who I am.
I see why you have on that Superman hoodie
Yeah.
today, because to be able to do everything you just named,
Yeah,
it's very fitting.
when it comes to being an advocate for like autism, I noticed like people would send me messages and it just be out of nowhere. And people will tell me, just looking at you, looking at your page, seeing how you're able to live life while being on the spectrum, it gives me hope that my child is going to be okay. It gives me hope that a family member is going to be all right. And once I noticed I started getting those messages and I started getting them a lot, it just lets me know like maybe it's not bad that I share like a certain part of me for everybody to see and to see that it has resonated with so many people. So I was like, it just lets me know like I'm doing something right with this.
Absolutely. You're definitely doing something right, and truly an inspiration to others. So I want to salute you. One, taking a step back to what you said about being a father and how really it's not about the presence, as in the gifts, the tangible things, and more about your actual presence in their life. So that's huge, especially for Black fathers today. So I salute you 100%. And
Thank
then
you.
even stepping out on faith, as you just mentioned about wearing that hat of an author. That's huge. Sharing your testimony and inspiring others is so important because as you just mentioned, you just have no idea how many people that's looking for Masons in the world to say, "Ah, finally, there's someone out there that gets me, and I'm not on this journey alone." So, man, I'm inspired. I've gone through all your content, and I always admire those folks who are not afraid to be different, to take a leap of faith, and to inspire others. So, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you, because um, when it when it comes to being a father, it's been one of the most rewarding feelings that I've ever felt in my life. And last year, I lost my biological father. He passed away January 5th, and I remember getting the news that he passed. I I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to really process it, and I didn't know how to grieve. And I feel it was because I wish that we had a better relationship. Like, my father was absent for most of my life. When I met my father for the first time, it was in 2009. How do you tell a 22-year-old who's meeting his father for the first time, like, how do you process that? Like, how do you process this? And then you also find out that you have another sibling. It's like, how do you process that as well? We tried to make it work. We tried to, build a relationship. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for what reason? I don't know. The last time I seen and spoke to him was February 2010. And unfortunately, his relationship with drugs, it got the best of him. And unfortunately, that's what, you know, took him away from not just myself, but my other brother, siblings, grandchildren, things of that nature. I wish that we was able to had a better relationship. I wish we was able to, you know, at least stay in contact with each other, check up on one another. I feel that's where my motivation comes from in regards to being an active father, is because I don't want the same I don't want to be on that same path. I don't want that for myself. So I always make sure that I do my best to be there for my children for when they need. And that's something that I strive to do every day. And I feel like that's something that I've really been doing my whole life.
Thank you for sharing that and just trusting us with that information. My sincere condolences to you for the loss of your father. Trust me, I definitely know what that feels like. I definitely know what that feels like. I love how you are taking that and allowing it to be somewhat of like fuel and motivation, as you mentioned, for how you're navigating this journey with your actual children. So salute to you in that regard. I know you touched on a lot of things and the different hats that you're wearing, even the advocacy. And I wanted to take a step back, if you don't mind, if you could share a little bit about, where your journey began, kind of even taking us back to probably early days, childhood, and
Yeah,
what shaped you in those early years, especially, with the diagnosis of your superpower.
it it started in New York, um, where I was born, and I remember a multiple conversations that I've had with my mother. She told me that she found out I was diagnosed with autism when I was about 2.5 years old. And I was going to speech therapy and occupational therapy at the Rose Kennedy Center in New York. Um, so I was going there for both. And I remember they told my mom she has two options. They said you can either keep bringing Mason up here and we'll continue to work with him on his physical therapy, occupational therapy, and also speech therapy as well. Or you can leave Mason with us and we will, take care of him ourselves. And my mom told me, she told them, she said, no. She said, I'm gonna take care of my baby. And that conversation, that just let me know like my mom was not only willing to understand the autism spectrum, but that let me know that she wasn't gonna give up on me. When she said that, for me, that spoke volume. Um, Even though there was some bright spots in my childhood, but there was also some dark spots in my childhood. It started when we first tried to move down south. We were staying in a shelter at the time, and I was I was molested, and I was 8 years old at the time, and I was molested by a woman, and the woman was like a teenager. I was only 8, and she had to be like between 13, 15 years old. And I didn't know how to speak up for myself. And it was challenging because I didn't want to say something, and my mom thought that I was joking around by saying that. It reached this breaking point one day when my mom went to go see about a place to live for us. And I was in an unfortunate situation that I had to stay with the girl and her family. So I remember we went to the swimming pool having fun. I was having fun. She finds me in the swimming pool and she started to harass me to the point where I got out the pool and I didn't want to get back in. And I remember when we got back to the shelter, I remember going to the bathroom, trying to use the bathroom. She comes in while I'm using the bathroom, sits on the toilet, and she tries to pull me in between her legs, but I pushed her off me and I ran and I went to my family room because my family room was right across the hall from her family. And I went in there and I remember taking off my wet swimming trunks and I was trying to find some dry clothes of mine, but I couldn't find anything. So then I heard something, and when I look, it's her running out the room and she has no clothes on. So then I try to run and I tripped over something on the floor and I ended up tripping on the bed. Then she tried to get on top of me, but I pushed her. And then while pushing her, you could hear the door open like somebody's coming upstairs. So I remember she took off running into our bathroom and I laid on the bed, curled up, and I'm crying. And I remember it was my mom who walked in the room and she was looking like, what is going on? So she so happens to see the girl in the bathroom. She proceeds to get a hanger, not just any hanger, but a wired hanger. Got the wired hanger and she popped the girl a few times and the girl ran out of the room. So then my mom asked me what happened. And that was when the first time I can honestly say I felt like a superhero. I felt like I had courage that day. because I was able to um, tell my mom what's going on. Those were the worst 2 years of my childhood because for the time that I was there, I was bullied. I I heard every fat joke that you can think of almost every day that I went outside just to have fun. I couldn't do it because somebody was always bothering me to the point where I had to defend myself. And it got tiring, not just for myself, but I know it got tiring for my mom. It was just a lot. I went through a lot in South Carolina, especially at that age, from, always fighting to defend myself, being bullied. I've been cut on my arm. I've been stabbed in the eye with a pencil to the point where I had to have surgery. It was just too much. And I remember in 2001, we moved out of South Carolina and we moved to North Carolina. Like, even though moving is stressful, but I felt like in that particular move that we made, I was happy because I was like, I can get out of here. But then also I had doubts when we moved to North Carolina because I'm just saying to myself, like, am I gonna go through the same thing again going to school? But I didn't. Like, people were interested in wanting to be my friend. People were interested and want to know my name, and people were interested in, asking me, yo, we're gonna play basketball, football, something like that. Do you want to play? Like, I didn't know how to react to it at first, but then it just it felt good. Like, it just felt good to, for people to see me and not my weight and not my size. Like, it just felt good. Um, then growing into a teenager, that came with some challenges. And I would say why it came with challenges was because it was like I had to wear a mask. So it was like I couldn't really be myself fully because I didn't want to say, oh, this is the things that I'm interested in. And then people look at me weird. So it was like I didn't want to go back to that spot mentally and emotionally that I was when I was living in South Carolina. But all of that changed when I was in a program at a church. And this program, it dealt with art, poetry, music, uh, some other things. And I just remember like always enjoying going to this program every Wednesday for 2 hours. Like, it was just so fun, just doing things that I didn't think I would be doing. How I fell in love with poetry was we used to have these poetry exercises. So it used to be like a topic, and we would write a poem or spoken word about that particular topic. And people used to say to me, Mason, you always write deep. They was like, why do you do it? I was like, I don't know. I said, this is the only way I'm able to express myself. And that's how I fell in love with poetry. And it stuck with me since. And I remember going to that program. I felt like I was able to be myself for those 2 hours. And it helped me out in so many ways. I saw other people around me and the people who I grew up with, were either drug dealers, robbers, or murderers. And I said, I don't want that. I don't want that for me. And I had to think, like, what do I want? At that time, I knew I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write a book about my life because I felt like I had a story to tell. But I procrastinated because I was just like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I don't know how I'm gonna, you know, make it happen. So I procrastinated. And it wasn't until now, if you fast forward from 2008 all the way up to 2025, I sat in my room one day and I was like, do I want to make this happen? I was like, do I want to be an author? And I used to always tell people who wants to do something for themselves or they want to do something that they've always wanted to do but just didn't have the courage. I used to tell people, you got to put faith over fear. If it's something that you want to do, and if you feel like this is your purpose, go for it. I was like, you can't live in doubt. You got to be able to put your stuff out there and go for it. So I remember I took my own advice and I said, you know what? No more living in fear. No more living in doubt. I said, if this is something that I want to do, I'm gonna make it happen. I said, I don't know how long it's gonna take me, but I'm gonna make it happen. I put out my first book. Matter of fact, I have it right here. Um, I put out my first book, which is titled The Spectrum of Me. I remember so many people at my job because my manager made flyers about it and was posting it everywhere in our department. And I remember people was coming up to me saying, "Hey Mason, I bought your book." And um it felt good because I was like, this is something that this is something I've been wanting to do for so long. And I was like, I'm finally doing it. And um it just felt good. It felt good to see people not only support my work, but reading it. When people hear my story, I want them to feel motivated. I want people, when they hear my story, to not give up and to keep going. And if it inspires people to go after the things that they want to do, whether it's being a writer or music or sports, whatever the situation is, if I can inspire you to do something that you've been wanting to do for so long, then I'm okay with that. Because I told somebody before, I feel that God has given everybody a gift. Sometimes it takes us a long time to realize what that gift is. Some of us, we kind of know what our gift is, but I feel it's important that we use the gift or gifts that God give us and we use it in a positive and impactful way that it touches people. They're able to relate to what we do. And if I can do that, then I know I'm doing my job.
Man, I don't know where to begin. One, I appreciate you sharing all of that. And you said you want to inspire. Your job has been done today. If you don't know from anybody else, from me, truly inspired. It's funny because I see the initially saw the Superman logo on your hoodie, and we see that and we think one thing. But just listening to you now, I have a deeper understanding of what that superhero means to you and the connection with the story that you shared. And that's a powerful story, man. That is a powerful, powerful story. You mentioned the church that you went to every Wednesday and the program that kind of introduced you to the arts, tapping into that side, which was super helpful in that journey. I'm just curious because I hear a lot about the roles that various churches play in people's journeys in the community. Where would you be if it hadn't have been for that church, if you hadn't have been exposed to the things you were exposed to there? Where do you think you'd be? How would life have been different for you?
And if it wasn't for that church that I went to, which was Great Height Presbyterian Church in Charlotte, North Carolina, if I didn't go to that church on Wednesdays for the program, if I didn't go to that church to be a part of the community band, if I wasn't going to that church on Sundays, I don't know where my life would have took me if I wasn't going to that church. Going to church, it gave me a superpower that I can use at any given time, no matter where I'm at, and that's pray. And I pray every day. I pray in the morning, I pray at night. Um, I even pray when I get ready to head out to work, or if I have some business to take care of, or whatever the situation is, I pray. Because I feel like a lot of people take praying for granted, and I feel like a lot of people also take the blessings that we have for granted. Um, we spend too much time comparing ourselves and comparing our lives to other people. Don't do it. Like, you have to realize, you know, what you have in your life and who you have in your life, that's a blessing. When you have people that really love you for who you are and support you and what you do, that's a blessing. When, when your story, when your testimony is able to resonate with someone, that's a blessing. Um, you know, if you have a roof over your head, you got clothes on your back, shoes on your feet, food on the table, that's a blessing. Being able to go to work, go to school, or wherever it is that you're going and to come back home safe, that's a blessing. And the reason why I'll always be grateful for praying is because 2014 was when I started to feel depressed. Things wasn't working out for me and I couldn't figure out why. And I felt depressed. And at that time, it was just like, I'm done. Like, I waved the towel. Like, I'm done. And I just remember praying. I remember praying. And on that day, feeling depressed, feeling like I wanted to give up, when I prayed, that changed everything for me. And ever since then, I just pray every day, every night, no matter what, I pray because I've realized how powerful praying is. And I tell people, you know, always pray, no matter what's going on, always pray. And sometimes some people, people be like, sometimes praying doesn't work. I said, prayer does work. You want things to happen overnight instead of being patient. I was like, that's why sometimes things don't work out for us the way that we hope it does because we're not patient enough when we pray on things. When you're patient, when you are humble, when you remain positive, it happens when you at least expect it. I am a true believer in it. There's been times where I've prayed on things and when I've least expected, that good thing popped up in my life. So I'm a firm believer in that. So without that church, I would be on a negative path. And I felt like I wouldn't be living my purpose if it wasn't for going to that church.
Wow. You said something that really stuck out. You said, we've been given access, and I can't say it as good as you. We've been given access to a superpower that we can access at any time, and that is prayer. And it might sound simple to some, but it's pure and true. And I appreciate how you spoke about just the power of prayer, even down to the patience component. Because I hear the same thing. People say, God doesn't answer prayers. I prayed for this and I didn't get it. Sometimes the mere fact that we didn't get that thing we asked for is an answered prayer. Because had we got that thing we asked for, we would be down a completely different path. Because some things we want for ourselves is not what we need at all. So even me, I'm in a season where I'm embracing the silence. I'm embracing the no's. I'm embracing the closed doors, the separations, because I'm like, whoo, I'm getting closer to wherever it is I'm supposed to be. I'm getting closer to whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing. And thank you, God, for not giving me what I wanted, but instead giving me what you knew that I needed. No, I appreciate you sharing that. One of the things I saw when you were, I think, promoting your book that you just shared there, you had a
Mhm.
statement that said, "I miss what others catch, and I catch what others miss," when referring to autism. Tell us a little bit more about what that means to you, especially for some folks who just don't understand autism.
That statement, I I catch what others miss is sometimes I don't know what it is, but sometimes I catch things that other people overlook. And it's like that when I'm at work. Like somebody may think they did something the right way, and I could just look and I just get that sense of something is off. And then it's like when I do find that something is off, I'm able to fix it. What some people take for granted, you appreciate. What some people, may think it's not worthy doing as far as like, no matter what it is, you find joy in what you do. Um, it's crazy that we're talking about this because like my mom, she told me, she said to me one day, she said, Mason, your mind is a very is a very powerful weapon that you have. And I was like, what you mean? And she told me, she said, your ability to remember things that have happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, remembering detail by detail when it happened. She was like, not too many people could do that. Like people may remember, but they don't remember what fully happened, what was fully done. And then one day, my best friend, she told me, she said, Mason, I don't know if you know this, but she said, you have an ability to word for word a movie and you ain't got to watch it. She said, she said, I literally watched you turn your back from watching a movie, turn the TV down, and you literally said this movie word for word without even turning around to watch, like to look at the television. And honestly, with that also played a factor in how I'm able to talk in a public setting. I've learned from movies. I've learned from watching TV and seeing people who I'm a fan of, people who inspire me, just watching them, how they conduct themselves in interviews, or, in a setting like this. Like, so I watched that and that's how I learned how to conduct myself, um, you know, in an interview or in a public setting, just from just from watching movies, watching certain TV shows, like just that.
Got it. Well, thank you. One of the things I remember when I first started this channel last year, my very first interview was a young lady named Brittany, who she also was diagnosed with autism. And one of the things that she shared was that there's a lot of misconceptions. And one thing that she's had to deal with is people saying, you know what? You don't look like you have autism, whatever that means. So I'm curious to hear from you, what do people get wrong about autism? And it might not even be intentionally.
I've heard that so much. I've heard it so much. Like just when people look at me and I tell them that I'm on the autism spectrum, they look at me like, really? You don't look like you're on the spectrum. You don't look like it. You don't sound like it. I had to tell people like, just because I may not look autistic, I may not sound autistic, it doesn't change the fact what I deal with on a daily basis, especially as an adult, you know, working and being a parent. It's not easy. There's some days where it is overwhelming. I have days like that. I've had days where it's just overwhelming for me, whether if it's at work, whether if I'm at home. But a couple things that I do is I just take deep breaths. I I keep myself in a positive mind frame so that that anxiety, that overwhelming feeling doesn't get the best of me. I hear that a lot, like you don't look autistic, you don't sound autistic, and you know, just because I don't look it doesn't mean I still don't feel it. I didn't know how to walk and talk until I was about 6 years old. Um, I was very bow-legged. Like it was where my legs was like this. So for my mom, it was difficult for her to put me on jeans. So I always wore sweatpants, and and I think that's why I always keep a few pair of sweatpants because of that. And I just remember having a procedure done to where they broke my legs in order for me to have an opportunity to walk. So I had to learn how to walk while in the process of learning how to talk. Um, it it wasn't easy because like even when I was nonverbal, I felt like I was trapped. Like I felt like I was trapped inside because it was just like I want to say these things, but I can't say it 'cause I don't know how to say it. And it was challenging. But I think like once I started learning how to talk and just to continue to improve, then it really started to pick up. Then it was yeah, it was definitely challenging because like I couldn't really express myself just being that I was nonverbal, and I just didn't know like how I would let my mom know like there was something that I wanted. And then like once I started to talk and I started to make improvements with that, then I was able to express myself and how I feel. I remember last year there was a trend going on TikTok. It was the IEP trend. It was like then and now. And I said to myself, I normally don't do trends, but I was like, let me give this one a shot and let me see what happens. So I just remember I posted it while I was at work because I had some free time. So I posted it when I had some free time at work. And I remember maybe an hour or two later, notifications was through the roof on my TikTok. So many people was liking it. So many people commented on it. I even had someone, I can't remember her actual name, but I just remember her as the woman who plays Keisha in The Shy. She actually commented she commented on my post. And I was like, oh wow, like even a celebrity commented on my post. Like that's crazy. Even to this day, that post still gets some love. Like I think the last time I checked, it's over 100,000 views.
Wow.
I think it's over 30,000 likes, and I think like 1,600 people either reposted or saved it as a favorite. And I was just like, wow. And I just remember somebody from a fake profile tried to discredit my story, saying someone who has a level 3 autism can't work in the medical field. Who said that? Like, I want to know who said that an artist, a person on the spectrum can't work in a hospital. Like, point them in my direction because I want to know because I'm not the only person at, at the hospital I work at. I'm not the only person who's on the spectrum or who has another disability that works at the hospital. You know, we may not look the part, but we are the part. And, you know, we we motivate people in some way, shape, or form. We motivate people like you can, you can work in a hospital or you can work in whatever field that you want to work in. So that's something that I strive to let people know if they have a child who's on the spectrum, if they have a family member who's on the spectrum, you know, they can still live a normal life. They can still do what it is that what they want to do and what they want to accomplish. I said, you can't let the negativity defeat you. You can't let the negativity bother you because I said people who are negative about it, those are people who are not happy with themselves. These are people who are not happy that they are not putting in the work to get to where they want to go in life. So those are people you don't pay attention to. I tell anybody, no matter what, if it's things that you want to accomplish in life, go for it. Go get it. If it's meant for you, go get it. Don't don't let society, don't let negativity get the best of you. Don't let it overwhelm you to where you doubting yourself. Don't do it. I've been through so many things. I've been through things that was meant to slow me down. I've been through things that was meant to stop me. Like the doctors told my mom that I wouldn't live to see past 13, and I'll be 39 in September. So every year after 13 is a victory lap.
That's right.
And that's something I mentioned on my birthday last year. Like every year is a victory lap for me because it's back to when that doctor told my mom that I wouldn't live past 13. But here I am. Thankfully, I'm still here. I'm still going. I'm still pushing. I'm still thriving to be the best version of Mason that I could possibly be.
Man, I see why you said those folks say you got a way with words. Just listening to you throughout this session here is like you say things so eloquently, and very vividly to where I'm able to put myself in that scene that you're describing. So I love it. I love that you're walking in that purpose now. Um, that you have that confidence now. That fear is not really a prominent factor in your life. So kudos to you One of the things I see or saw as I was looking at your socials, prior to this meeting, is that I can definitely feel the level of confidence there, even down to your social media handle, right? Let's just be real. Is it autistic and handsome,
Hmm.
right? And so I'm just curious, and this is gonna help somebody who may also have had a similar start as you did. What would you say was the one thing or one of the most important things that was able to get you to a place where you could exude that confidence in yourself? I think you said in one of your postings about having to get comfortable with receiving like compliments, if I'm not mistaken. So you can talk us through like that. Like what helped you get to that level?
What got me to that level was growing up. I wasn't the boy that the young girls would fight over for. I wasn't the hot throb in high school where every girl wanted to be with me. I wasn't that, like, I wasn't the guy that women was, you know, like, I wasn't that guy. I wasn't him. And it was just due to the fact that, being, bullied as a kid and being talked about my weight. So it wasn't until really after high school, it wasn't until I was in my 20s when I really started getting compliments like, "Oh, you're cute, you're handsome, you're a good looking guy." And um even to this day, I'm able to appreciate the compliments, but I feel like it's the compliments where I get sometimes where it's like if a woman tells me, "Oh, you're sexy," or "You're gorgeous," or, however a woman expresses, how I look, even though as an adult, it's still it's still new to me in a way, just because I didn't hear this coming up. Like, I didn't hear these compliments coming up as a teenager and as a young adult. So to hear it now, it takes me back to that place where I was the guy that everybody overlooked. And I just remember I was about 27, 28 years old. And I remember one day I looked in the mirror and I said to myself, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna be Mason. I'm gonna be Mason who loves wrestling. I'm gonna be Mason who loves superhero movie. I'm gonna be Mason who's comfortable in his own skin. I said no more wearing a mask. And I just remember, like, I was imagining I had a mask on and I just took it off and threw it away. And I'm a work on building up my confidence. So I tell anyone with the compliments, I appreciate it. I don't let the compliments get to my head. Has some people say get big headed with compliments.
As we get ready to wrap up here, what do you want people, especially those who feel unseen or misunderstood, to take away from your testimony?
For anybody who feel misunderstood, don't change who you are. Don't change who you are for anyone or anything. Keep being yourself. Keep building up the confidence. Keep building up your mental and emotional strength, and continue to be around people who appreciate you, who appreciate who you are as a person, and appreciate what you have to offer. Because I am a firm believer that the right people will find you, the right people who will love you, appreciate you, respect you, support you. They will find their way to you. So just keep being yourself, keep putting in the work. Don't let society tell you different. Just keep being yourself, and the right people and the right things will come in your life. It may not be when you want it, but it will be when you least expect it. And when you get the right people in your life, when you get these right things in your life, don't take them for granted, appreciate it, and hold on to them.
Amen. That's a nice segue. You said the right people will find you. So definitely let those who may be watching know, one, how can they find you? And two, what are some things you have working on that may be coming out that you want to share with the world?
Okay. You can find me on Instagram. I have two pages. My main page is Autistic and Handsome. So it's artistic.in.handsome. That's my main page. My author page is Books by Mason. TikTok, it's Artistic and Handsome. I do have a YouTube channel. It is called Love Power Spectrum. You can find my YouTube channel that way. You can subscribe to my channel. And to find my books, you can find them anywhere digitally. And for all my paperback lovers, you can find my books on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Walmart. So as I mentioned before, The Spectrum of Me, that's my memoir of my life. This is Artistically in Love. This is a love story that was inspired by the show Love on the Spectrum. So it was watching that show and also just my experiences with love and just putting that together. I was able to come up with a story with that. Then I do have a children's book. It is titled Autism is My Superpower, Embracing Every Piece of Me. My nephew, who I'm guardian to, he's 9 years old. I found out last year um, he's on the autism spectrum. And then I have an 8-year old biological son. So this is a dedication to them. Any child that is on the spectrum, being you is a different, and being unique is your superpower. So that's something that I strive to tell people. And then this book, this is Dear Bay. This is a collection of love letters, reflection, thoughts for that special person in your life. It could be, your spouse, your partner, or somebody that that you really care about. I do have a project coming out less than a month from now. It is called Wrapped in Mahogany, a romance of power and surrender. I'm really excited about this project. So for all my romance novel lovers, this is one that I think you will enjoy. So this book comes out February 11th, just in time for Valentine's Day. So that's what I got coming out next month, February 11th. My next project after that is called the Autism Compass, Navigating Parenting with Confidence. That will be coming out April 1st. So April is Autism Acceptance Month. So I will be kicking off April with that project. So, if you follow me on my platforms, just be on the lookout for when I put the news out about the book, and when you could pre-order. That's how y'all can find me social media wise.
Nice. I love that you came prepared. You had the visuals for us. I knew you was gonna bring it. So I appreciate it. What I love about that is you kind of capture storytelling and you got a book that's fitting for everyone across the spectrum, from the youth all the way down to the parents as well. So like you love nobody out in that process, and even the lovers. So I appreciate. I think what is the book? Is this called Dear Bay?
Yeah.
I smile at that one. I love the title. I want to say thank you for being a guest today and wanting to be on the platform, and then for sharing your testimony. When I envision these testimonies coming in, because this is a leap of faith journey for me as well, it's always been like a platform that's safe enough for people to want to just share whatever parts of themselves they want to share. And today, you've captured so many different layers to where I know that you're gonna bless multiple people because you touched on so many different things, whether they resonate with one part of you or the other part of you or the latter part of you. There's gonna be
Hmm.
something that everyone can take away from this. And you embody what it means to say, my testimony is dope. And I appreciate you for just your transparency and wanting to help other people along the way. So I always end with this question. Finish this sentence. My testimony is dope because.
My testimony is dope because I survived the things that was meant to keep me down. I survived the things that was meant to destroy me physically, mentally, and emotionally. My testimony is dope because humbly I've able to make the impossible look possible. My testimony is dope because I am a real life superhero. I may not wear a costume, I may not wear a cape, but what I do and how I impact people is my real superpower. And those are the things that make my testimony not just dope, but it makes my testimony legendary.
I need to get a mic so I can't drop this one. Shut the whole thing down. I need to get a mic that I just drop after stuff like that, man. Now this is dope. This is a nice way to wrap it up, nice way to end.